is CNN Breaking News.
We begin, though, with a remarkable admission. Whether deliberate or by accident, it's out there now. When it comes to choosing the next U.S. Senator from Alabama, the White House would prefer an alleged child molester to a Democrat. Now we know. When it comes to Roy Moore, Republican U.S. Senate candidate from Alabama, alleged molester of a 14-year-old girl, alleged attempted rapist of a 16-year-old, that's the answer from White House counselor Kellyanne Conway. Now we know. She let it slip while lashing out at Moore's opponent on Fox and Friends, prompting this question.
And Doug Jones is a doctrinaire liberal, which is why he's not saying anything and why the media are trying to boost him.
So vote Roy Moore?
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through. And the media, if the media were really concerned about all these allegations and that what this was truly about, and the Democrats, Al Franken would be on the ash heap of bygone half-funny comedians. He wouldn't be here in Capitol Hill. He still has his job. What's Bob Menendez doing back here? That's the best my state of New Jersey can do. Huh, Doocy? You live there.
But,
let me tell you something.
I'm just saying
this
the
guy,
RNC
Doug
is
Jones,
withdrawing
is a
support for Roy
doctrinaire
Moore.
liberal.
So just in case you missed it in that cloud of misdirection, Kellyanne Conway, one of the president's top advisors, accidentally or otherwise uttered a truth that until now has dared not cross the lips of anyone at the White House.
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through.
They need the votes, she says. They need Roy Moore's vote. They want Roy Moore's vote. Never mind that many of his potential Republican Senate colleagues say they don't need or want Roy Moore, period. Never mind that all these accusers have now gone on record alleging various forms of sexual misconduct or uncomfortable encounters on Roy Moore's part. Never mind that Moore was reportedly barred from a local mall for allegedly bothering young women. Never mind that Kellyanne Conway herself said just last Thursday.
Whatever the facts end up being, the premise is, of course, the principle, the incontrovertible principle, is that there's no Senate seat that's worth more than a child.
So keeping them honest, principles are so last Thursday. Now we know.
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through.
Now we know. Yet if Kellyanne Conway uttered the truth this morning, it was a somewhat inconvenient truth. This afternoon, when asked about it, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders says the president had no position beyond this.
We certainly think that this is something that the people of Alabama should decide, and I'm not going to be able to weigh in anything further beyond those comments.
Sarah Sanders trying to put this morning's toothpaste back in the tube while dispensing some familiar soft soap.
The president believes this is a decision for the people of Alabama to make. The people of Alabama should make the decision. The people of Alabama should be the ones to make the decision. The decision that the people of Alabama need to make, it's up to the people of Alabama to make the decision. The president, as I've said about 7 or 8 times now, thinks that this is a decision for the people of Alabama to make. It's up to the governor and the people in the state of Alabama to make a determination. I've addressed it quite a few times. The position of the White House hasn't changed. It's up to the people of Alabama to make the determination on who their next senator should be.
Now, listen to that long enough and you might get the impression that telling Alabamians how to vote is the kind of thing this president would never do. He would never, for example, get on Air Force One and fly down to Alabama. That would never happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Nor would the president ever go to a rally for Alabama Republican primary candidate Luther Strange, get on stage with him, and tell Alabamians how to vote.
That is why I'm here tonight to ask the good people of Alabama to send Luther Strange to the United States Senate so he can defend your interests, fight for your values, and always put America first. Go out and get out the vote.
Why, it's almost like he's telling the people of Alabama how to vote. And here he is at the very same event promising to support Roy Moore if Moore won.
And by the way, both good men, both good men. And you know what? And I told Luther, I have to say this, if his opponent wins, I'm going to be here campaigning like hell for him.
And sure enough, when Roy Moore defeated Luther Strange, the president got behind Moore. Congratulations to Roy Moore, he wrote on his Republican primary win in Alabama. Luther Strange started way back and ran a good race. Roy, win in December. So it wasn't until accusers began coming forward that the president, especially his surrogates and spokespeople, lashed on to the Let Alabama Decide talking point. And it wasn't until this morning that Kellyanne Conway revealed the talking point to be bunk. The truth, which she let slip, is that the White House has decided it prefers an alleged child molester to a Democrat because the alleged child molester will support the president on tax cuts. Now we know.
This is CNN Breaking News.
On this Monday of Thanksgiving week, Kellyane, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so the president tweeted out yesterday, hey, Congress, don't disappoint the American people on tax reform. How close are we to finally getting a tax cut?
We feel very confident, but it is up to those legislators who for years, if not decades, have been promising their constituents they're going to get meaningful tax cuts and tax overhaul. And we're very happy that the House and Senate have come up with what I call Trump speed, not swamp speed, in getting their bills to the floor fairly quickly. We feel really great that both bills adhere to the president's 4 core principles for tax cuts and tax relief, repatriation, simplification, middle-class tax cut, and reducing that corporate tax rate so that we're below the average for developed countries instead of the highest in the entire OECD. So we feel great. My colleagues and I have been traveling around the country, as has the president, and up on Capitol Hill constantly. This one feels like everybody's oriented in the same direction. And to your point about the Democrats, the president has said from day one he wants tax cuts to be bipartisan. That's a question for the Democrats. Surely there are business owners and taxpayers and property owners, moms and dads and moms and pops in every state in this country who feel they deserve a tax cut.
But
So we
Kellyanne,
hope
the Democrats,
petty partisan politics will not get in the way.
But partisan politics is getting in the way, and Democrats don't want to give the president a win.
Well, that's too bad because it's a win for the American people. This is not about a win for the president. This is about giving the forgotten man or forgotten woman who put this man into office because they've been forgotten for decades through regulation and taxation and just the overbearance of a government that's too intrusive, invasive, expensive, and expansive. This is for them. And this is not about giving the president a win. That's silly. He's the president. He won. It's a tell Hillary Clinton, by the way, P.S. But this is about people winning. And I do hope in the legacy of Presidents John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, even much smaller tax cut, but that we have bipartisan support. We've always been able to rely upon that. I think the Democrats are in big trouble because they have to defend 25 Senate seats next year, 10 in states the president won, 5 he won by massive double digits. They're going to go home and say, when I had a chance to give you more of your hard-earned money, give you a child care tax credit, an adult dependent, double your personal exemption so your first $24,000 is completely tax-free at 0%. They're going to say, but I didn't do it because of XYZ when we know it's for petty partisan political reasons. And Doug Jones in Alabama, folks, don't be fooled. He'll be a vote against tax cuts. He's weak on crime, weak on borders. He's strong on raising your taxes. He's terrible for property owners.
So
and
vote
Doug Jones
Roy
is
Moore?
a doctrinaire liberal, which is why he's not saying anything and why the media are trying to boost him.
So vote Roy Moore?
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through. And the media, if the media were really concerned about all these allegations, and that's what this was truly about, and the Democrats, Al Franken would be on the ash heap of bygone, half-funny comedians. He wouldn't be here in Capitol Hill. He still has his job. What's Bob Menendez doing back here? That's the best my state of New Jersey can do. Huh, Doocy? You live there.
But,
let me tell you something.
I'm just saying
this
the
guy,
RNC
Doug
is
Jones,
withdrawing
is a
support for Roy
doctrinaire
Moore.
liberal. Excuse me?
But the RNC is withdrawing support for Roy Moore. Mitch McConnell's withdrawing support. So is the Young Republicans withdrawing support
And
for
a lot
Roy
of
Moore.
women.
Right. And you know what? I just want everybody to know Doug Jones. Nobody ever says his name. And they pretend that he's some kind of conservative Democrat in Alabama, and he's not.
Kellyanne?
And yes.
Will the president be going back down to Alabama to campaign on behalf of Roy Moore before the special election?
There's no plan to do that. The
Right.
president is going to continue traveling around the country on tax cuts and other issues. Yes.
Kellyane, there's 6 Republicans that have concerns about this tax reform or tax cut bill. You have Corker, Flake, Senator Johnson, Murkowski, Collins, and Senator McCain. They all have different reasons. And I want to play some sound bites for you. The first one is Susan Collins saying she hasn't supported him from the beginning. And then this was also Senator Jeff Flake. We've butted these sound bites together when he was caught on a hot mic. Listen to this.
President Trump was not my choice for the Republican nominee for president. I want to see changes in that bill, and I think there will be changes. There are some provisions of the House bill that I like better. There are provisions of both bills that I like, but I think the bill needs work.
Come the party of Roy Moore and Donald Trump. We are the toast.
So what is your reaction to that? I mean, Senator Flake's not running for re-election. He clearly doesn't support the president. And then Susan Collins, she has health care that she's concerned with in her state.
I'm very happy that Senator Collins is coming forth now and expressing some of the ways she thinks that the final bill can be improved, including weaving in some of those provisions from the House bill, which she says she personally prefers. We'd prefer to have those conversations and those debates now than just have somebody show up and be a no vote. That's why the president himself went over to Congress last week. That's why my colleagues and I are there nonstop, out in the hustings, out bringing the case to the American people and taking in their inputs and their ideas and reflecting that in this bill. But in the end, especially with people like Senator Johnson, who's concerned about small businesses, it comes to explaining what's in there for small businesses. Yeah. A 25% rate, the lowest tax rate on our moms and pop small businesses. I was an S Corp for 22 years. You reinvest that money in your company. Right. You buy better inventory, you pay benefits, you're able to attract and retain a workforce that's compensated well and that you can compete with the big guys. The 17.4% deduction for small businesses, the 100% expensing for 5 years, these are all very attractive features to the folks who show up to work before dawn and go home long after dusk.
And Kellyanne, I watched the whole Collins interview. She is absolutely gettable. She's getting her hands dirty in this. That was something about personal behavior and who she picked her in the primaries. But also Corker, also I understand, and Ivanka and you were doing a lot of work to win over some of those others. Are doing some honest look into the tax plan because they realize it's about the country, not about who's president. Meanwhile, the president did weigh in and tweeted this out in regards to running back Marshawn Lynch of the Raiders taking a knee during the sitting down during the national anthem and standing for the Mexican national anthem. He says this: Marshawn Lynch of the NFL's Oakland Raiders stands for the Mexican national anthem, sits down for hours. Great disrespect. Next time, NFL should suspend him for the remainder of the season. Attendance and ratings way down. So how do you feel about the president weighing in here?
The president has been consistent about this from the very beginning. And look at what's happened to many of these teams, the NFL viewership and attendance at these games. You know what? We have a saying in our house anyway. I think it's a pretty good one. You take a knee for the Lord and you stand for the flag. Many Americans agree with that. And the president has been very consistent about this. And every president, look at the last one, they become involved in some of the cultural and social questions of the day. There's no way to avoid it. And I think many Americans agree with that. And look, if you want to express your viewpoint, and the average NFL player, as I understand it, makes about $2 million a year. That gentleman probably makes far higher and far more. There are so many ways for you to get civically involved. There more than 5 seconds before a game. There are so many ways for you to participate and animate youth and educate them and engage them. And, I mean, the NFL has taken a big hit reputation-wise. They're in a world of hurt. I'm glad the Philadelphia Eagles are 9-1, by the way. But the fact is that I hope Roger Goodell, the NFL, maybe they'll work with us on big initiatives like combating the opioid epidemic and drug demand. That would be terrific. Roger Goodell has publicly said that he'd like to, quote, move on from this, and I bet he would. No so kidding. He can call us. We can call him and say, hey, can we get you involved in something, all sports, something as big that affects our youth as drug demand reduction.
The commissioner wants him to stand. The players' union doesn't.
Kellyanne, we wanted to ask you about this. We had a union representative on Friday of last week representing ICE officers who felt that the president had betrayed them in this new secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. They liked General Kelly when he was there, but then now he's your chief of staff. staff, and they feel like the new Secretary, Kristen Nelson, is an Obama-era holdover, a lawyer, little experience, didn't back President Trump when he was running, back Jeb, and wasn't really for the wall. So what are these people in this union who are not feeling so good about the leadership there? What are they getting wrong?
Well, that was one person, and I want to say I thought that was an incredibly regrettable and error-riddled interview. First of all, I serve with General Kelly, and I serve with Kirstjen Nielsen. That is her name. Everybody ought to learn how to pronounce it because she's about to be our Secretary of Homeland Security, and she's going to do an amazing job there. She testified under oath how she feels about all these issues. People can go and pull that testimony. She's strong, she's smart. I get a little tired of women having to doubly prove themselves, but that's okay. We're up to the task, and obviously we survive and thrive here. But Kirstjen Nielsen will be in the likeness of General Kelly. In those first 6 months on that job for General Kelly, he worked on the travel ban, getting that wall built, and keeping our homeland secure. Think of all the things that you're dealing with here. The ports, the border. We have 90% of our heroin comes through the southern border. We have poison coming over the border constantly. She's going to be, and I thought that was a very regrettable interview. Look at what happened last night with the border agent murdered, and God rest his soul. It brings into sharp relief how important it is for us to get Ms. Nielsen confirmed quickly, and there are many border agents, many, who are very happy this president, under his leadership, illegal boarding crossings are down, drugs are being turned away. We have a lot of work to do, but the fact is this president is committed to building that wall. We hope Congress hears him. He has a 70-point immigration plan that anybody can pull up as soon as this interview is over and see how tough he's going to be. 1,000 additional ICE agents.
All right. Yes. Kellyanne, thank you very much.
Thanks,
We're
Kellyanne.
just about out of time.
This is CNN Breaking News.
It's been a little more than 1 year since President Trump's historic win, so we wanted to check in with some of his supporters to see how they feel about him today. I sat down with voters from Florida, Pennsylvania, Indiana, New York, Connecticut, and Louisiana for our latest Pulse of the People. We're basically 1 year into the Trump presidency, so how would each of you grade the president today? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, B, B, A, A, F, B. So Sherry, let me start with you. An F. Why?
I did vote for him. I almost immediately regretted it. He has no credibility for me as a voter.
What turned you?
There's been a long laundry list of reversals, campaign reversals and post-campaign reversals.
Such as?
He said China is a currency manipulator. Now he says he's not. China is not a currency manipulator. That's just one recent example.
Okay, so who are the A's? Kim, tell me a year in what you like so much about what you've seen.
See, I think he's going after what he said he would do. I think he's meeting with a lot of resistance. But I also do like the fact that the stock market has hit something like 27 historic highs. It keeps going higher and higher and higher and higher. Unemployment is down, the furthest down it's been in about 16 years. I think jobs are coming in, and these are all things that he talked about. I think right away he also tried to secure the borders.
How? I mean, the wall didn't happen.
Well, the wall is, they have the prototypes up.
Mark, you're nodding.
I love that he's America first. I love that he's not a politician. For so long, we've had politicians promising us stuff. The swamp is horrible. And Trump is there. He's there for the small guy. He's there for people like myself.
Though his cabinet is filled with multimillionaires.
I love that. They're not politicians.
And you don't see them as part of the swamp who have capitalized on the system.
In a capitalist system, you're allowed to make money. Being rich is good.
Yeah, so then what is the swamp?
The swamp for me
The mainstream.
is yes, you almost nailed it. It's the mainstream. It's the elites that look down on a small guy like myself.
I think the swamp is also, no doubt, Congress, Senate, to be able to clean that up somehow.
This is what confuses me. How do you get rid of the House and the Senate?
You don't. You make it more accountable and more accountable to the people.
I own a pest control company. It's not much, but it's mine. And I work hard for it. I never went to college. just your typical guy who's trying to make a living. And for years, they've been just kicking us to the side. And here comes the president. Let me tell you, if Jesus Christ gets down off the cross and told me Trump is with Russia, I would tell him, hold on a second, I need to check with the president if it's true.
Why do you believe Donald Trump over everybody else? Why?
I believe in him. He's a good man. He has taken so much shots for us.
Why do you think he's more trustworthy than the intel community?
It's based on everything he's been doing. He's been winning. Listen, I go to Mar-a-Lago whenever he's coming in, hold up my sign.
And what does your sign say?
Blacks for Trump. I'm Jamaican, I'm black. I love the guy.
If this is winning, no thank you. I mean, come on. On the job market, that's retroactive. It's too early for him to claim credit for those numbers.
For the unemployment rate.
Yes. I mean, also the stock market is volatile. I mean, he has not passed a single major legislative piece of anything.
I think it's interesting, though, that we're going to blame Trump for the bad things that we think have happened, but we aren't going to give him any credit for the good. His appointment with Neil Gorsuch, he may get to appoint others. I mean, that's huge, and the defunding of Planned Parenthood and the steps in that right direction.
Anthony, what is it like for you to hear the two different sides of how people are feeling today?
My disappointment is that when he hit the ground, he didn't have a game plan. It just seems like he's firing in many different directions. I honestly believe that Draining the Swamp should have been the primary. He's got 535 congressmen that have anywhere between 15 and 30 lobbyists that are funneling money to them and trying to manipulate them. He has an incredible battlefield in front of him.
The whole election and post-election experience has caused me to re-examine. It's been a painful process. I can no longer identify with the Republican Party.
Why?
They seem out of touch with mainstream America. They don't seem that interested in working to bridge the divisions between us, which is a major concern that I have. Healthcare is another one, and I know of many, many people who are not able to get treatment they need. Maybe it's time we stop viewing healthcare as a commodity in this country.
Did you think the president could make a better deal with the insurance company? Did you expect something from Donald Trump?
I guess I expected the insurance company to be way on the back burner and the American people to be on the front burner. And
single payer.
And he's
That's the right way to go.
You like the idea of single payer?
Absolutely. Every other country that's civilized and educated has made the choice to turn it into just like your highways, your bridges, and all of your other necessities.
Now, that's not what Donald Trump is saying.
No.
I mean, he's not going towards a single payer.
But that's the only way you're going to eliminate the additional expense that comes with insurance companies.
Why didn't you vote for Bernie Sanders?
I would have considered it if I'd had the choice. But we already know the game was rigged. And that was one of the things that I liked about Trump. He was always talking about the system is rigged.
This is CNN Breaking News.
I do want to get all of your takes on what some call flip-flop, some call a 180-degree turn. Listen to this.
I said, here's the problem with NATO. It's obsolete. I said it was obsolete. It's no longer obsolete. We're going to have a great relationship with Putin and Russia. Right now, we're not getting along with Russia at all. We may be at an all-time low in terms of relationship with Russia.
How do you feel about
Look at the dates there. The dates are a year apart. The dates reflect a time when he was not the president, when he was not privy to some of the materials he'd be provided as the president, some of the highly confidential secret materials.
Sure, but I mean, does he need a confidential secret material to know that NATO is relevant?
Well, he had a change of opinion. He changed his mind.
And you're comfortable with that?
I am comfortable with that because I feel that we're all entitled to change with circumstances, with timing.
It's foolish to hold on to a particular view and then be shown evidence for something else.
But you're comfortable that he now believes in working with NATO, that he now believes in getting involved, if need be, in Syria, that he now no longer believes that China is a currency manipulator. You're comfortable with his changes of position?
I'm satisfied with them. I believe that that everything's fluid, and you can't make an informed decision if you don't have the proper information.
Did you feel that he was not informed during the campaign?
I think he was as informed as they could get. They could make him.
Yeah. He wasn't the president.
Go ahead, Scott.
That's not true. That's not true. He goes behind closed doors, just like the President Obama did of the United States. He gets firsthand information like everybody else does. As the president,
not as a candidate.
That's a bunch of crap, and you all know it. It's a bunch of crap. Let me calm down here. He goes behind closed doors. He got secure information on this country, just like Mrs. Clinton did.
Before he was elected.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And why would they hide information like that to somebody that's going to become the next possible president of the United States? That's ridiculous. Come on. I know you just all of you
She was Secretary of State, so she was
kidding me.
Already more.
No, Paula. They got classified briefings. He did. Once they were the nominees, they got classified briefings. You're comfortable, Alex. Hold on. Alex, you're comfortable with his shifts in position.
Except for the Chinese currency.
Why not?
Thing.
Why aren't you comfortable with that one?
Because China is a currency manipulator.
So why is he saying now, no, they're not?
Because, unfortunately, he needs China.
Exactly.
That's
but
exactly
you know what?
right.
But you see, but here again, that sometimes you have to negotiate.
Negotiate and make
He's going to give him a
need
deal.
China right now.
He's going to give him a deal because he went in the country and bombed the place and he needs help now.
You know what?
Listen, he started the war. He should go in there and finish the goddamn thing.
You know what? You know,
he didn't start the war. No.
Let's be honest here. You know what?
Did any other country bomb Syria except for the United States?
Come on. Yeah, no, that was Obama.
Syria.
Yeah,
what happened in Syria was disgusting. It was sad. And he went in there and
dealt with it.
So why did he say before that, during the campaign,
it didn't happen.
that we didn't... Wait, there have been attacks on civilians
I get
for
it.
years.
I get it.
So why was he hands off then?
But what did Obama do in all this? Obama had that red line.
Obama's not the president of the United States. And Obama didn't bomb the country.
Back in history, but why
Trump
are you
did.
comfortable with Mr. Trump's shifting positions?
Because at this point in time, he had a situation where he had to deal with. And did we want to take the chance of the next day taking these people, these poor innocent people, and gassing them again?
So, Craig, how are you feeling about all of this? I mean, I know that you've been listening intently to your fellow panelists.
And I'm going to say, you know, Donald Trump, President Trump, we all gave him a pass because he wasn't a politician. But he's starting to fit the bill. But he's also human. And I have to agree with some of these other panelists that we just can't sit back and let a leader of a country annihilate their population.
Are you comfortable with where the administration is today on North Korea?
I'm not.
Go ahead. What are you doing?
I'm not, plain and simple, because you know what? If these panelists believe, some of the panelists believe, that he gets the wrong information and goes into North Korea and does something stupid, it could be detrimental to this country. It really could.
Are you comfortable with the tough talk against North Korea?
You know what? I'll take any tough talk from President Trump if he's going to back it up. But he's not backing it up.
What can we do, though? We've got a leader of a country that has been flaunting the fact that he has these missiles and he sends them out. Do we have to wait until one of them is nuclear tipped and takes out one of our allies?
Absolutely not.
Do we have to wait for that? Then I have to agree that, you know, we as a country need to say, you know, we're not going to turn our head anymore. You know, this is something that I'm very passionate about.
You think tough talk will take care of that?
Look, I don't know about the tough talk. Okay.
So what do you think?
Well, first you have to talk and try to come to a resolution. And I mean, the guy's a maniac. He's insane. But
I know you're talking about Kim Jong-un.
Not Trump. I hope so. I'm glad you clarified that. But if you don't sit down and talk and you start with the weapons, then there's no chance to try to get a resolution here and try to make peace.
Transparency. President Trump is not going to ever release his taxes, he says now. Do you care?
I don't.
No.
No.
Why don't you want to see what's in there?
I couldn't care less. He was a private citizen before he came in. You know whose taxes I really like to see? We should write legislation that I get to see everybody in Congress's taxes. Yeah. That I want to see every year when they file their taxes, they have to post it on their website.
Why do you want to see Congress's taxes and not the president's?
Because I want to see all the money that they take on the side. I want to see all their speeching engagement. I want to see exactly how much they pay in taxes.
Sure.
But you know what? It's not trans. But how many of them really file taxes? I want to know how many don't file taxes. I want to know what they pay in Washington. I want to know how rich they are.
I'm just confused. Why don't you care about whether or not President Trump's making any money on the side while he's the president?
You know what? I'm more concerned with Congress because Congress has been down in Washington and made this mess of this country. And to me, I'd rather let's start with them, and then every year he has to do it now because he's president.
Right, but not doing it publicly. We all have to file our taxes every year.
But
he's going to be under audit every year.
I just have a question for you. Is it possible that there's nothing President Trump could ever do that would make you question him?
There is, because they fall exactly in the realm of all these other people that they've talked to across the United States, and that is he can do no wrong.
At this point, no.
Did you make excuses for him when he made fun of the handicapped reporter?
That was not true. That was not. He did not make fun of
He didn't?
On
videotape. I saw the tape. I don't know what you saw.
What did you? I want to stand on this, okay? No, okay.
What did you see that I didn't?
You folks watching, and you
Okay, whoa. Everyone calm down, please. Okay, this is what happened. If you watch Trump and you watch all of his speeches, I've watched most of his speeches from when he started his campaign to after he won the presidency, okay? He uses hand gestures all the time. And when he was, No. When he was talking about the gentleman, yes, he is handicapped, and I'm sorry for him, I'll pray for him. But when he was talking about him, he was using hand gestures, yes, but he's done the same hand motion with many other non-handicapped
I've never seen him use those.
You know what?
That he was using when he was talking about Serge Kovaleski, I've never seen him.
Yes, he has many times. I've seen the videos comparing.
What about his proposed Muslim ban during his campaign? What did you think about that? Did you back him on that?
The Muslim ban?
Yeah, the Muslim ban. Did you go to his rallies? I went to 45.
I did go to his
Everyone.
rally.
We're going to have a Muslim ban. They all jump up and cheer.
Allison.
And did you like that?
No, I couldn't support that. I never supported that. I never supported a deportation. I said, a wall would probably help out with the infiltration of heroin.
Then why did you go to 45 of his rallies if there were some things that just turned your stomach?
I'll tell you why. Because I took the emotion of losing my son. And when Donald Trump told me that he was going to do whatever he could do to help the people that found themselves involved with heroin and substance abuse, I took that to heart. And I transformed my emotion that I had for my son into following this man around the countryside. And I listened to him talk, and I supported him because of his promise that he was going to help these kids and these young adults get off this heroin.
You haven't seen that today.
He's failed.
As we approach the 100-day mark, what does Make America Great Again mean to you today? Paula.
It means that he is moving forward on helping with the economy. I think that we have to give this man a chance. Nobody has given him a chance from the day he became the nominee to the day he got sworn in. All the media has dumped on him and has not said, okay, he has to have this time to be able to get acclimated down there because he was not a politician, and that we have to give him a chance and just back off a little bit.
So you're optimistic.
I'm very optimistic.
Okay, what do you feel, Susan?
I think that the president is going to continue down the path that he's already on. I think he is draining the swamp to some degree.
A lot of people say that President Trump has put in his cabinet and in the White House lots of lobbyists and consultants, and that's not what people had in mind for draining the swamp.
That's correct.
I mean, sometimes when you get there,
correct.
It changes. But Alex, I want to move on to you. President Trump promised that there would be so much winning when he becomes president. Are you sick of winning yet?
No, I'm not. We have a lot more to look forward to, I think. Hopefully he'll get reelected. We'll win the, in 2018 Congress again.
Eileen, what does the future look like to you?
I'm willing to give him more time. There is a learning curve that is involved with learning how to deal with the government. So I feel encouraged that things will continue to improve.
Scott.
Allison, basically, I hope his next 100 days is better than his first 100. It can only get better, I hope, not worse, truthfully. I'm still, whether this panel thinks I hate Mr. Trump or not, I really don't. Again, I agree with this gentleman here. I want him to succeed. I really do. I think he can, but I don't think he can just go to the table and say it's my way or the highway. He's got to negotiate. If he doesn't, it's going to get worse in the next 4 years. It truly is. And he's going to lose a lot of people the next election. I guarantee it. There'll be a lot of people turn against him.
Craig, how do you see the future?
Well, they say give him 4 years. But unfortunately, he's shown what he's capable of doing in the first 100 days. Make America Great Again is It's become a myth. I don't wish for the president to fail in his endeavors. You know, if he wins, we all win. I could never vote for him again because he's shown what he's capable of doing. That is trying to put through something that was absolutely the opposite of what he said, what he promised the American people.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Show of hands, how many of you are feeling just as positively today about Donald Trump as you were on Election Day? 2 of you. How many of you are having some second thoughts or reservations or regret your vote? 3 of you. Okay, so Jordan, what was the moment that you started regretting your vote?
A lot of it had to do with his choices for cabinet officials. I'm a high school teacher. His choice for the Secretary of Education is completely unacceptable to me and most of my colleagues.
Why? What's the problem with Betsy DeVos?
Inexperienced. She now is in charge of public education. She doesn't seem to believe in it. And that was a very big detriment to me.
Peyton, what was the moment that you started having second thoughts?
He's a businessman. I thought he could get the deals done. And once I started seeing that he was too busy tweeting or not really understanding the kind of way Congress and politics really works, I was a little disappointed.
What did you think he could pull off?
I was hoping for his travel ban to kind of go through and not be so divisive. I was hoping for a health care repeal and replace.
Mark, how about you?
I think it was the day after Inauguration Day.
So soon? What happened?
When he was so concerned about the crowds or lack thereof, I was like, is that important? You're the president. Let's move forward. And so that's probably started my what have I done?
When he was so upset about his crowd size, what did that tell you? Why did that upset you?
Well, I went back to his hands. I mean, size matters to him, I guess. And I that's not important to me, you know, and that's not why I voted for him. That's not why I voted for him. I felt he was different, thought he could make a change than what we've been used to over all these years, but just not impressed.
Emma Paula, what is it like for you when you hear your fellow panelists say that they now have all these doubts?
I can understand perfectly where they are from, but I am an issue, or almost a one-issue person.
Your family came from Nicaragua, yes?
Yes, I'm from Nicaragua.
You're from Nicaragua.
I was.
You came legally, and now you're American, naturalized citizen.
Yes.
So I know you take issue with the Dreamers.
I take issue with the favoritism that they receive, and when they come and they expect and demand free college education. Boy, would I like to have had that. And this is why we are resentful. The community of legal immigrants from Latin America are the ones that voted for Donald Trump because of that resentment.
Let's talk about the NFL. How many of you are comfortable with the president weighing in on what's happening during the national anthem and some players taking a knee? Are you happy that the president talked about it this weekend or tweeted about it? Nobody's happy that the president weighed in.
I think that these players have the First Amendment right to kneel during the national anthem or sit out. And it's just an argument that really didn't need to be picked. And now it's what everybody's talking about when there are so many other things that we could be talking about, like the hurricane in Puerto Rico.
So why is President Trump weighing in on this?
I think it's because he loves America. I don't like the disrespect that these players are showing. But on the other hand, as my husband and I both say, we may not like it. But my husband served 21 years. My brother-in-law died in service to guarantee both the NFL players' rights to free speech and the president's right of free speech.
I'm a son of and a grandson of veterans, and I was always taught that I might not like what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. And that's what the First Amendment's about, and that's what this country's about. Do I like them taking a knee during the national anthem? Personally, no. But that's their choice, and it's their way to protest.
What I had concerned about was why in the world, and I live a couple hours from Charlottesville, Virginia, he couldn't call those individuals, the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists, why couldn't he call them sons of a bitches?
And why couldn't he?
That's a huge concern of mine, meaning what is really going on in that man's mind?
A lot of what happened yesterday was in response to what our president said being very unpresidential, using the term son of a bitch. I believe that if we want to continue to be the country we are, we have to allow dissenting opinion. But I agree with Mark also. If you're going to use that term, let's use that term in Charlottesville as well.
And Peyton, what do you think about that? Why is he using harsher words for the NFL players?
I wish I knew. It just completely baffles me. When he made the first condemnation of white supremacists in Charlottesville, it kind of seemed like it was lacking any substance. He didn't call anybody out. Then he made the second one, which sounded presidential, but it was 2 days late. And then the next day he comes back out and kind of retracts what he said the day before and went with his original stance. And it's just so unnerving to have those flip-flops within days of each other.
There are people in the country who think that that's racist. That's racism right there. Not calling out white supremacists and calling out the NFL, 70% of whom are black.
I agree, but we use the race card far too often.
Do you wish that the president had spoken out more forcefully about Charlottesville?
I think he could have given a much stronger statement. He could have been very condemnatory. These people are not the people who make up America.
Why didn't that cause you any erosion in your support?
Because I try and look at the big picture. I also believe, as a businessman, he's not used to politics, and he's used to going in and making deals and having his own way.
And, you know, we're talking about a businessman. Is he? That's what I'm trying to. He's not making any deals, so he's pissing people off that he needs votes for and that sort of thing. So, you know, I voted for him because he was different, because he wasn't a politician, but I didn't vote for somebody that I have great concern about his thinking.